All right, today we're tackling something that can bring pretty much any modern business to its knees when the cellular network fails. And we're not just guessing here. We're basing this explainer on a really sharp report from the tech research firm Virtualization Options LLC. They actually put this together specifically for leaders and executives, folks who need to get the big picture without getting lost in all the technical jargon.
So think about it. Your business right now is running on this invisible lifeline, the cellular network. We all just kind of take it for granted. But what happens when that line gets cut? Really breaks. It's not just a minor headache. For most companies, it's an absolute disaster.
And before we get into the chaos of an outage, let's just take a second to really grasp how deep this dependency goes. This isn't just about making phone calls anymore. It's become an invisible backbone holding up, well, pretty much everything.
And the Virtualization Options report really lays it out clearly. They talk about 4 main pillars. You've got your basic communication, right? Voice, text, video, all the ways your teams talk to each other and your customers. Then you've got transactions. Think mobile payments, your point-of-sale systems, the stuff that actually brings in the money. Third, there's cloud access. How do you get your most important apps and data? Yep, through the network. And finally, the IoT ecosystem, all those sensors and smart devices feeding you crucial data about your operations. So you see, these aren't just nice-to-haves. They're literally the foundation of how business gets done today.
Okay, so now we know what's at stake. What happens the second that network dies? It's not a gradual problem, not a slow decline. The report makes this crystal clear. The chaos is instant.
Let's just put a number on it. Let's talk dollars and cents. For an average retailer, an outage costs them $5,200 an hour, just gone. That's money just evaporating into thin air because you physically can't process a sale.
And you might think, well, we'll just put up a cash-only sign. Yeah, that's not really a fix. In fact, businesses that do that see their sales plummet by an average of 76%. Let's be honest, in a world of digital payments, being cash-only is pretty much the same as hanging a closed sign on the door. And it's not just about the money you're losing right now. Think about your customer support. It just breaks. Your team can't access the systems they need, communication is shot, and the time it takes to solve a simple customer problem explodes by 300 to 500%. You can just imagine that frustration. That's the kind of thing that really wrecks a reputation.
And all that frustration, you can actually measure it. A single outage can knock your customer satisfaction score down by an average of 62 points. That is a huge hit. And digging yourself out of a hole that deep, that can take months, if not years.
So the immediate fire is bad, for sure. But the real lasting damage, well, that's the ripple effect. It's all the problems that stick around long after your phone shows full bars again.
And here's the kicker. When a customer can't get through to you, who do you think they blame? It's not the cell provider. Nope. They blame your business. The report found that a whopping 67% of customers say their trust in a company drops when they can't reach them during a critical moment. That's a direct, painful hit to your brand.
So it's really crucial to see the two sides of this coin, right? On one side, you've got the immediate, obvious losses, the sales you missed, the productivity that just tanked. But on the other side, that's the slow poison. The brand erosion, the great employees who get fed up and leave, the market share that quietly slips away to your competitors. That's the stuff that can really bring a company down over the long haul.
There's another cost here that most leaders never even think about. It's a hidden one. When the network is down, what are all your company's phones and tablets doing? They're screaming for a signal over and over. That constant searching drains batteries, it overheats the hardware, and it leads to a 12 to 15% jump in device failures in the weeks after the outage. Suddenly, you've got this massive, unbudgeted repair and replacement bill that just shows up out of nowhere.
Okay, so this isn't just theory. Let's look at a real-world event. Let's look at the actual numbers to see what this kind of damage looks like in practice.
Remember that big multi-carrier outage back in early 2024? Well, in just 11 hours, the total economic hit was almost $500 million. And look how that breaks down. Yeah, you have the $215 million in direct lost revenue,
But then you have another $178 million in lost productivity, people just unable to do their jobs. Plus another $67 million just in the costs of cleaning up the mess. See, the problem is so much bigger than just the sales you miss at the register.
And you see how these things can spiral out of control, right? It starts with something simple, like a software update that goes wrong. But then, the first attempts to fix it don't work. Suddenly, a few hours of downtime turns into 73 hours. That's 3 full days. But even when the network comes back, you're not done. You're spending the next few weeks sorting out all the messed up data, fixing inventory, and untangling financial records. So what felt like a brief IT issue actually becomes a month-long nightmare for the entire business.
All right, so that's the bad news. It's pretty grim. But the good news is the Virtualization Options report doesn't just leave us there. It's not just about pointing out the problem, it's about the solution. So how do we fix this? How do we take this massive vulnerability and maybe, just maybe, turn it into an advantage?
So one of the coolest tech solutions they talk about is something called an outage protection SIM. It's basically a super smart SIM card. Instead of just connecting to one carrier, it can connect to several. And if it senses that your main carrier just went down, poof, it automatically switches over to one that's working, without you even noticing. For things like your payment terminals or devices your field teams use, this is a total game changer.
But look, you can't just throw technology at the problem and call it a day. This is just as much about your people and your planning. It really comes down to 3 steps. First, you need a simple, clear plan for what everyone does the moment an outage hits. Second, you have to actually train your teams on how to work when the systems are down. And third, you need a plan to get back up and running fast when the network comes back. It's about building muscle memory.
So when you put it all together, a truly resilient strategy has 3 pillars. Pillar 1, diversify your providers. Don't rely on just one carrier. Use a mix of the big guys and even smaller carriers that run on those big networks. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Pillar 2, have real, honest-to-goodness backups. I'm talking satellite or old-school landlines for the stuff that absolutely cannot fail. And Pillar 3, make your own infrastructure stronger. Things like signal boosters or even private networks can make a huge difference.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about spending money to avoid a disaster. Being prepared is actually a massive competitive advantage. Think about it. When an outage hits and all your competitors go dark, but your lights are still on, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're picking up all their frustrated customers. The report actually shows that prepared companies can scoop up new customers 3 to 5 times faster than normal during one of these events.
So let's wrap this up. The real takeaway here isn't if an outage is going to happen. It will. The only real question is, what's your business going to be doing when it does? Are you going to be part of the chaos? Or are you going to be the one company that's still open for business, ready to welcome your competitors' customers? Really, the choice is yours, and it all comes down to the planning you do right now.